as we think of the way forward on how to arise and cause impact. We thank you for our guests and all the delegates that have come here. We pray, Lord, that you release your Holy Spirit to come and be amidst us, that whatever deliberations and lessons that will be taken, they will be for good of eternal auditors, for our country, Uganda, but most importantly, for your glory of your name. We thank you, we say all this in the name of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you. We may sit. Our guest, Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Taiwa Thomas, the key speaker, Ms. Saipati Asante, founder and executive chairperson of the Strategic African Women's Leadership, the Internal Auditor General, Minister of Finance of Government of Uganda, Dr. Fickson Okonya, the President IIA, Mr. Moses Kasacha, the Board IIA, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to the 18th Annual Audit Conference with the theme Arise and Elevate the Impact. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Our guest of honor, we are delighted to have you here. Thank you so much for making the time. I would like at this juncture to call the conference chair, Mr. Ronald Chirunji, to give his remarks. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 18th annual IIA conference. All protocol observed. Colleague, as you may well be aware, this is my first time to chair the conference and navigating the responsibilities of leading a committee, organizing a conference like this, especially dedicated to enhancing the internal documentation, has been an immense task on me, but a wonderful journey. It has been a period marked by profound learning and invaluable exchanges, especially picking experiences from my esteemed colleagues on the committee. On behalf of the committee, I extend a warm welcome to you to the 18th Annual Internal Audit Conference, scheduled from 7th to 9th May 2024. Colleagues, our beloved country, Uganda, and our respective organizations have seen many successes for which we are grateful. However, we cannot ignore the numerous challenges we face, such as the geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, Russia, and regional issues in East Africa. They may seem far, but those events affect our organizations and how we survive. And you know, internal auditors advise these institutions. Challenges pertaining to changes in taxation systems, these you might have recently seen. Some may not necessarily be challenges, but they might be misunderstanding of events, ethical issues, morality, and ongoing rationalization of special government institutions and agencies along the rapid evolution of systems, state agility among auditors, if we are to truly make a difference in organizations. As such, auditors holding a pivotal role within organizations, auditors must act as proactive advisors. Undoubtedly, both management and boards often expect more from us than the tools they provide and the resources. especially in terms of the positioning of audit functions, but also the allocation of human and financial resources. Nevertheless, we must strive to maximize the value addition if we are to justify our indispensable role in these organizations. The conference theme, Arise and Elevate the Impact, along with the day's topics, have been carefully selected to address present-day challenges. I invite you to engage freely, discuss, interact, and network as we aim to continue sharing practical knowledge and skills long after this particular conference.
was brought to you by
just take a polite loan of 200k to stock on my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hustle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso, every Wednesday live in our studios in the heart of Kampala. We have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Be amazed the hidden treasure in a woman of substance.
S4, still, father buys me the first car, a brand new.
Their experiences.
Yeah, really my eyes were so big, I was so skinny, I was so tall.
And into the women they've become.
Be
inspired by their transformation and their stories.
I had to take Mama Nakaunde and Dr. Bossa at home.
Super Soul Sisters, only on UBC TV.
Did you know that our #1 value as a nation is to respect and protect the environment? With the current population increase of Uganda and industrialization, this has increased pressure on the natural resources, resulting into environmental degradation and global warming. Developing countries like Uganda could face 80% of the global climate change effects by the year 2030 if no action is taken. Join us here on UBC TV, Inspiring Uganda, on our Eco Plus program, where we bring you an in-depth analysis of issues that are disastrous to our environment. Every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m, only on your loved station, the National Broadcaster. UBC is the National Public Broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Do you trust me?
Go!
He escaped.
I want my Yeti back! Where's my show? Where is she? Right there! Fine.
You monster.
Run away and never return.
That this is a different model, and we appreciate that. And he soon will be talking to us, but before he does that, allow me to introduce some few people. I would like to introduce the Internal Auditor General, Dr. Fickson. I would like to introduce the chairperson of the African Federation of Internal Auditors, Madame Ruth Mutebe. I would like to request that all board members stand up for recognition, those in the House, the board members of the Institute of Internal Auditors. You're most welcome. And in a very, very special way, I would like to introduce the past presidents who are here, and I will be talking about one of them later, the past presidents who are here, presidents of the Institute. There's one there in darkness. I hope it can be seen. But you saw them, but let me speak about one of them, Mr. Gavas Indianabo. Mr. Gavas Indianabo was the first president of the Institute of Internal Auditors. That was 2 decades and 2 years back, 22 years back. And he's still our mentor, and we appreciate. And I would like to introduce the keynote speaker, just seated next to you, Madam Seipati Makoa Asante. It is now my greatest honor and privilege to invite the Right Honorable Speaker to come and speak to your people.
Thank you. Dr. Akonye, our Chief Internal Auditor, the Chairman of the African Federation of Institutes of Internal Auditors, the President of the Institute of Internal Auditors Uganda, all of you, your auditors, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad to be here, and I want to thank you for the invitation. You are part of us. You know, the Auditor General is a staff of Parliament, according to the law. So you are part of us, and I'm glad to be coming to our family. You know, I had on my schedule, I think I had even forgotten. So my brother Nanga called me at midnight. I don't know. Because for us politicians, you think we work 24/7. So he called me at midnight. And he had to remind me that I had to be here. But luckily enough, this is family, so I'm always glad. And I appreciate your timekeeping also, because I'm invited on many functions. Then I start receiving calls. No, delay for 2 hours, delay for an hour. But you people, where will I compensate that hour from? So I'm really, really glad you guys kept time. The auditors, you do help us as Parliament in fulfilling one of our core duties. The core duties of any Parliament, and these are global duties. It is legislation, representation, appropriation, and oversight. We cannot run the function of oversight without you, auditors. So you are our enablers, you are our guiding stars in as far as Parliament and legislatures anywhere executing their mandate is concerned. That's why you see whatever we do, we refer to the Auditor General's reports. We refer to the Auditor General's reports, and that's where we demand government, after they are adopted, to present the Treasury Memorandum, which is action taken on the recommendations of the Auditor General as adopted by Parliament. Now, of course, I had very many people arguing, no, you came, you adopted all Auditor General's reports without, you know, due processes, analysis, and completing them. Yes, we did it. I felt I should say this because I've been asked by several auditors, and I think I should bring it light for those who are not, especially at the high level of Auditor General with whom we interact so much. That came about because of the challenge we are facing. We had a huge backlog, very, very huge backlog, and we find these reports are so many you find that giving them serious attention, you wouldn't get all that time. And government will only take action on recommendations adopted by Parliament. Those not adopted by Parliament, government under the law is not obliged. Because you see, government has to submit an action taken report. Otherwise they will remain audit queries being recycled year after year, year after year, year after year. So we said, okay, number one, we trust our Auditor General for doing a very great job. Number two, when you look through our working plans, you find that if we had changed anything, it is like 1%. We usually adopt what the Auditor General, because you can't fail to explain to the Auditor General, then you come to explain to Parliament. Okay? Auditor General is a specialized office and has specialized staff in all this. So you can't say, no, the Auditor General made a mistake and you say it before Parliament. No, why didn't you clarify to the Auditor General? Now you've come to the Tayewas who are lawyers and social scientists, and you want them to be the ones that question the work of the Auditor General. So we said, so we try our level best to process oversight to Auditor General's reports. Then those which we are not able to process, we adopt them so that government is required to take action on recommendations of the Auditor General. So that's the work method which we introduced, and I think, Doctor, it has worked very well. Now government is put to task to explain what they've done. So I've chaired several meetings with the team, and really we've worked very, very closely in terms of improving accountability, especially action taken on their recommendations. And I want to thank you, Office of the Auditor General, and the auditors working with the Auditor General for ensuring that indeed good work is done. I'm here talking to a group of Ugandans who are our partners in fighting corruption, strengthening governance, risk management and control processes. It is indeed a wonderful opportunity to share with you vital issues that are central to progressing Uganda into a middle-income country by 2026, enhancing service delivery in the public sector, improving value creation to stakeholders in the private sector and local communities, and eliminating corruption. As you may be aware, the government of the Republic of Uganda has demonstrated commitment to the improvement of governance and accountability through the provision of an enabling environment. This commitment is evidenced especially through the enactment of the Public Finance Management Act, which introduced several reforms, 2015, which introduced several reforms. For example, harmonization of public financial management laws, strengthening internal audit function in government, creating the Office of the Internal Auditor General to oversee and coordinate internal audit function in central and local governments, including enhancing collaboration with Office of Auditor General. The Public Finance Management Act 2015, under sections 47, 48, and 494, established the offices and functions of the internal auditing in the public sector. Leveraging on the legal establishments, internal audit has got to be proactive and forward-looking to remain relevant and provide significant value to our organizations. We operate in environments where there are rapid changes, and so internal auditors must also constant and consistently equip themselves with the necessary knowledge and skills to match the trend of risks and opportunities so as to add value to the respective organizations and the economy as a whole. And this is in line with what the President talked about, especially on the digital transformations, what is going on in the world. I'm looking forward to a day we as government to enhance transparency. We become so open and we adopt, for example, blockchain technology. You see, some of the technologies have been associated with wrong elements. When you talk to blockchain technology, many people think of Bitcoin, digital money, and all that. But these are facilitators of transparency, so that you're able to trace the chain. And even if you wanted to make any change, you're not able to do it at any stage. Because I'm seeing governments all over using several platforms, several systems, sometimes which are not talking to each other, sometimes with very many challenges. I asked Makerere, I said, for example, Makerere, if you had an issue of change of marks, what I would do, a lecturer would, after confirming the marks for a student, submit it onto a blockchain. And then it is able to be seen by anyone, so that if anyone in the middle tries to tamper, to interfere by changing those marks, then you're able to know who did it. You know, when we had cases in public universities of registrars changing marks, because you see, transparency is not on money issues. No. When we talk of transparency, people think it's only about money. No. Keeping time is part of transparency. How much time do we lose as a country, as an entity? There is a time when I was the chairman of finance and administration at Makerere University Council. We had an issue whereby we had a lot of part-time lecturers. So the money which could pay for, could be used to recruit staff, was used to pay part-time lecturers. And who were the part-time lecturers? These were the permanent lecturers. Okay? And people being able to sneak in their friends, and so, and of course, a young man, I think I was in my 20s or early 30s, when you talk, you know, these PhD holders, you say, now, this one, you think this is managing a market stall, this is academics. I said, no, but attendance, what does it, you know, what does it have to do with your research? You did the research in insects, and you've written how many peer-reviewed papers. So what does it have to do with me asking you about attendance? And you start quarreling. And you say, how did these young people come onto the highest organ of the university? So I made a proposal to the council. I said, let's do an audit of the teaching hours, teaching load. Give us timetables. What we discovered was shocking. Most of the professors, especially in humanities, in public universities, don't teach. Days of being taught by professors had gone. So the one who was reading them, Professor Ntozi, had zero teaching load on government time. But every day had around 5 hours on part-time. Because his salary from government is already guaranteed. Then he's paid 50,000 per hour for that extra. So he was teaching from 5 to 10 p.m. Kubanga kariko ya kariada. The government is guaranteed. So Katarina kuyiya. So that was their side hustle. But also, what did we discover? We ended up discovering the distortion in the quality of courses, duplication of courses. So faculties were duplicating courses. And then we said, now, if we are to introduce a new course, we want you to show us, number one, the teaching space. Where would they study from? Because some of us who studied social sciences, we used to study by rumor. To study by rumor, we were very many in class. So, and the room was small, so some of you would stand outside. Now, Dr. Simba is giving notes, you can't hear properly, you ask your neighbor. So he gives you a rumor of what the lecturer has said. So we could sometimes study by rumor. And then, notes are different. You know you failed an exam, but I mean, I did exactly what the lecturer said. Then you find, the notes of the one who was in front are different from the one who was standing in the window. So we said, no. This can't continue. So we said, one, we need you to tell us, where will you teach students from? Do you have teaching space? And I'm glad the government came in working with the World Bank and sorted that issue. Number two, we said, we need to know the teaching load of the lecturers who are going to teach. Because someone would just put a list, lecturers, I have A, B, C, D. But you find someone is put to teach on around 20 courses. So, in the end, we managed to control what they used to call the competition that had come in Makerere of wet and dry faculties. Someone goes, they had started becoming innovative. You have monitoring and evaluation masters in social sciences. You have monitoring and evaluation masters in development studies. You have monitoring and evaluation masters in languages. You have monitoring and evaluation masters in business. So you find under one, you have around 10 monitoring and evaluation, and they are supporting each other. So we came in and we closed over 100 courses. We realigned, strengthened the existing, and we saved the government a lot of it. But you can see, if someone was only looking at money, not looking at beyond money, then the quality of our products was going to continue being really horrible. So I want us to embrace technology. Technology is moving at a very, very fast pace. And the next word is going to be about data. Data. So you internal auditors, you must be ready to handle big data. Because any business, I mean private business, any business that won't embrace data, it won't have a future. I can tell you this. It will be about data. Acquisition of data and how you utilize it. Of course, we are having a lot of ethical issues on issues of data. You saw in the last elections in America, the first one, where Cambridge Analytica did what it did and influenced the whole election. These guys got data from Facebook, looked at the around 5,000 behavior traits of each individual, and then tailored adverts for that individual. If, for example, you're a person who likes clubbing, they could tailor an advert of showing terrorists bombing clubs. And then they say, no, the Democrats are so liberal, they won't protect you. So you vote Republicans so that your dancing hobby is protected. And they won an election. So auditors, you have to go deep. You must utilize new technologies, because new technologies are going to hide a lot from you with the advance of artificial intelligence, which is my very, very biggest fear that I have as an individual, because we small countries don't have enough capacity to control these big tech companies. So we are working closely with our partners in the European Union. I happen to be among the 5 members of Parliament from Africa who work with the European Union Parliament on the Samoa Agreement, which governs the relations between Africa, Caribbean, Pacific, and the European Union. And we are looking deeply on how these big companies which we can't control, how can we leverage on our relationship with the European Union and big countries to ensure that we have overreaching legislation from those countries to help us control them. So, if we join forces, we can eliminate corruption in this country, we can improve service delivery to Ugandans, and we can easily attain the middle income status. The government recognizes the importance of internal audit function and profession in contributing to the operational efficiency, efficient use of resources, strengthening of controls, tackling fraud, and improving the ethical environment, thereby leading to growth and development of our country. Internal auditors must uphold professional values, align with your professional activities to stakeholder value drivers. If you want how you are perceived as a profession, just attend graduation at a public university. MDD, Musiru Daradara. BBA, Bachelor of Being Around. You know, these are students, and it reflects. Procurement, Bachelor of Enjauro. You know, you just go, you attend as a parent, you listen. So each course they read, what is the perception? Okay? So if the students are shouting that Bachelor of Procurement is Bachelor of Enjauro, it means they are going to look for Enjauro in society. That is what is driving them. And me, I love living in the real world, not the world where it is written. I love going and listening to the people on the ground. So when those students are making noise, it gives me where the future is going. What are they aspiring to be? Okay? So it's very important for you to protect your profession as internal auditors by maintaining your objectivity and independence throughout your work, so that you can add value to organizations you serve, irrespective of turbulences you go through, thereby operationalizing your theme for this year, arise and elevate the impact. All other professionals and other workers must promote and uphold the institutional and professional codes of ethics to make a positive change to our society. I would like to appreciate the role that the Institute of Internal Auditors plays in promoting the profession and services of internal audit in Uganda. Providing the relevant training and standards to guide internal auditors is very critical for maintaining the profession growing and respected. The government of Uganda will continue facilitating internal audit profession to grow by ensuring that internal audit function exists in all public entities and private entities with public interest. The Parliament of Uganda and Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and I'm glad the Chief Internal Auditor is here, will continue supporting the institution of internal auditors in areas of capacity building and professionalization of internal audit cadre across government, including providing a conducive environment for internal audit function. I know there are a few issues to do with the law. I think working with the institute, we would really appreciate proposals from you so that we can strengthen this law. Because one of them is limiting, I think, heads of internal audits in government entities, that they must be accountants. But me, one of the best accountants I know, auditors I know, Honorable Roland Ngyomujenyi, he had the first class in social sciences. PwC picked him from Makerere. I've seen PwC, Ernst & Young, KPMG, picking bright students in development studies. The ones of MDD they haven't taken, but other professions, I've seen them taking lawyers, taking doctors, and training them, and they end up being very serious auditors. Okay? So I think it should be about the qualifications you give someone as an auditor. Isn't it? Because you guys are able to assess yourselves. You see, self-regulation is something I really, really love. Any law to do with internal audit, any law to do with audit should be driven by you, the professionals. Should be driven by you. So from your experience, from your expertise, if you think people who are not accountants but have attained the relevant experience and qualifications and knowledge to do with auditing and have succeeded in the private sector, have succeeded in other government functions, should be given a chance to be heads of the internal audit, in government. We should amend the law and we sort that. Chief Internal Audit. Let's look at that seriously. And me, if government doesn't bring it, you bring a proposal, we shall get a private member to do that. Okay? Because sometimes it's a quick way of doing things. You see, we have different laws. We are only limited by Article 93 of the Constitution, where we cannot introduce a law that has a charge on the consolidated fund or reducing tax. That one we cannot introduce. But the rest, those gaps, as long as you find they are budget neutral, they don't need a charge on the consolidated fund, those are very easy amendments for us to make so that we can align your profession to the current standards and we create more opportunities for all people. So I'll be waiting to hear from you, Mr. President, working with our Chief Internal Auditor. Accounting officers and other leaders in government entities and entities of public interest like banks must respect and implement the recommendations raised by internal auditors. The same applies to Auditor General's recommendations. Public Accounts Committee and Audit Committee recommendations must be implemented as required by the PFMA. And this is what we are going to focus on seriously as government. Finally, this is a message to generally the audit sector and for the private sector. Beyond the public, government also has interest in the private sector, because when the private sector performs well, then we perform well as government. Our IFRIS works. Otherwise, IFRIS won't work if would be redundant. Anyway, it is going to be difficult in the next, should I say, few years for you to do business in any part of the world if you are not transparent in your business operations. And the only way to be transparent is by professionally tackling the audit function in your business. With the stringent FATF recommendations, government, we are determined to ensure that Uganda does not go back on the grey list. Uganda won't be used as a hub for money laundering, won't be used as a hub for illicit flows, cash flows, which end up going into sponsorship of terrorism, funding of terrorism, and all that. We want to live among our peers, among our transparent peers. So the private sector must embrace the function of audit. But for this to be achieved, you will need to do a lot of sensitization as an institute and as a profession to these people. Two things. One, people think you are very expensive. Okay? Number two, many people in the private sector think the auditors are used by the private sector to do financial engineering so that you reduce your tax burden, and you have very many ISCO and unprofessional auditors who are facilitating that. And then, because I have received cases, someone says, but I was using, okay, I shouldn't use the word auditors, I should use accountants. Because, yeah, let me use the word accountant. But most of you are accountants. Okay? Most of you are accountants. And they are your peers, your colleagues. So, I have received complaints from many people. He says, but I had an accountant. He's the one who guided me. You know, he guided me that when I do this, it's okay via my taxes. He even took facilitation from me. To facilitate and things are okay. But now 7 years, these people are coming with interest. They are coming with penalties. So you need to strengthen the self-regulation within your profession. You need to have punitive measures, very strong punitive measures. And if you require us to help you through the law, we can do that. We can do that. But I think you can do through licensing, like how the Law Council does. You know, the ethical part of it, many people who don't want to work hard, who are unethical, are misleading very many people in the private sector. So I request you look into that so that we can help our private sector to grow, but we also clean up the profession with those very many uncoordinated words. Because I was touching everywhere, I take the opportunity to open the 18th Annual National Internal Audit Conference and wish you very fruitful deliberations. Thank you.
Another hand of applause to the Right Honourable Speaker. We have been blessed, and I must tell you, empowered, and surely we shall come with the guidance of the Internal Auditor General, the Chief Internal Auditor of the Government of Uganda. Before I do just one more thing, I would like to request Mr. Reuben Mupada to come here. This gentleman, the Right Honourable Speaker, Mr. Mupada Reuben, is the Chief Operations Officer at the Institute. I wanted you to see him. And in our midst are your servants from many entities. I may not introduce all of them, but I want to introduce one who helps us make things happen, the Commissioner of Internal Audit of the Uganda Revenue Authority. I was telling him you are the one causing the potholes because he's not sending them. I just wanted you to see him such that he gets to know we are serious on this. There is only one other thing you are going to do shortly after here. We are going to request you to have some little time with us to take some pictures, as it will be guided by the Director of Ceremonies for today. But with all the joy and gladness, I'd like you to accept a token of appreciation from the Institute of Internal Auditors and from all those people seated here and online. And I'm going to do that on their behalf and on my own behalf. Yes. Kindly come and guide on how this will be.
Let's have the board members, IIA, to join in. And the past presidents. Those are. Of course, board. Let me also join in since there are no ladies. The ladies are very few. Ladies and gentlemen, are we happy? A round of applause again. Wow. Well done. Thank you so much. I would like to take this opportunity to appreciate our sponsors. Thank you so much. Ministry of Finance, URA, UBC, we do appreciate. Bank of Uganda, Vision Group, they are our diamond sponsors. UBOS, DPF, Teammate are our gold sponsors. Britam, KCCA, Umeme, UCC, CAA are our silver sponsors. And under bronze, we have Centenary Bank, Pride Microfinance, Housing Finance, Isaka, and Seth Pro Uganda. Seth Pro Uganda is where I sit as the MD. And for those of you who don't know my name is Fatuma Nagawa Sentongo. I'm an auditor, an accountant, and a very, very proud internal auditor. It is 11 o'clock. We are going to have the keynote address, and I will wait for Moses briefly, since he's going to chair the next session. And after the keynote address, we shall go for a 30 minutes break. Please remember to keep time. And for those of you who would like to use the restrooms, it is on my left. Those behind, there is a door behind, and even outside this room. I want to remind you again, please interact. This is the time to make as many contacts as you can. We being internal auditors, please interact. Thank you. Apologies for the 1-2 minutes. Moses, you're welcome. Moses will be our session chair for the next session. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I once again welcome you. And we are privileged this morning to have another experienced person speak to us. Like the chairperson of the conference said, it's all about rising and elevating the impact. And like he said, we've lined up people who we believe are going to bless us in that direction. For now, we are going to listen to the keynote speaker. But before I invite her, let me just give you some insights about her. I'm talking about someone who is an accomplished business executive and leadership development expert. She was sharing with me that her career actually started with internal auditing. She felt she needed even to do more, and that's where she landed herself to what I have just mentioned. Currently, she's the founder and executive chairperson of the Strategic African Women in Leadership, and is responsible for strategy and innovation at HD Africa, and as a former senator for South Africa at the World Business Angels Investment Forum, she's well versed in international business and entrepreneurship, and this is a skill that we need most. And she has a lot of interest in gender issues, and with special focus on women and the youth, where I believe most of you, and I think even me, belong. I thought you'd be happy to see me in the youth group. And she's a speaker across topics and across geographical locations in Africa, in Asia, and in Europe. She's committed to contributing to Africa's growing startup ecosystem as an angel investor and ecosystem builder. And it's now my pleasure to invite Madame Seipati Asante to come and speak to us. Madame Asante, please.
Okay. So I'm also adjusting. I hope you don't mind that I'm as tall as Ronald. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Mr. President. Esteemed audit professionals, colleagues in good governance, our gracious hosts, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Yesterday, I attempted greeting in the local language and they laughed, so I was discouraged. I thought this morning I'm not going to do it again. I'm so thrilled to be here today with you at what I really hope will be an inspiring conference for you. Once again, a big round of applause to the team that put it together. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for having me here with you today. The theme for this conference is Arise and Elevate the Impact. And nowhere is that more relevant than in the boardroom. I stand before you today not just as a board governance advocate and expert, but as a living testament to the power of diversity. At the young age of 23, I was fortunate enough to secure my first board seat with one of the big banks in South Africa. This experience ignited a passion in me for ensuring effective governance and representation in boardrooms. Throughout my career, a persistent challenge has haunted me: the lack of diversity in leadership and boardrooms across the continent. This reality stands in stark contrast to the very foundation of good governance, the principle of by the people, for the people. It seems some African leaders clinging to power have forgotten this crucial truth. Let me be clear. I don't speak out of fear or to paint a doomsday picture. However, if we continue on this path, history will judge us harshly, and Africa's full potential will remain undiscovered. The leadership disparity between Africa's demographic and those in charge is at the center of many of our problems, challenges, and failures as a continent. The tragedy of it is that we are now slaves in our own countries because of leaders who would rather choose power over people. Africa has the world's youngest population, with over 60% under the age of 25. However, leadership positions are often held by older generations, and this disparity creates a gap between those making decisions and the vast majority they impact. By 2025, 1/3 of the world's population and of the working age group will be African. I want you to let that sink in. 1/3 of the world's population and the working age group will be African. Africa is the only continent that will continue to grow in big proportions in the next few decades. It is the only region where the workforce will be the youngest globally, and yet we are not investing in young people. For decades, Africa has been portrayed in the media as a continent beset by poverty, conflict, and instability. However, a generation of African leaders, business thought leaders, is breaking this mold and demonstrating the vast potential for growth and progress. This new generation of African leaders cuts across backgrounds, united by a force and a vision for the continent's future. They are well-educated, tech-savvy, and deeply invested in their communities. These young people understand the challenges Africa faces, but their hearts burn with a determination to find solutions and propel the continent forward. What do they need? They need our unwavering support and a commitment to fair and equal opportunities. Opportunities and through merit and not through backroom deals or privileged connections. In South Africa, men hold 75% and 80% of executive and board roles, respectively, while women only get whatever remains from those percentages, which is 25 and 20, respectively. Limited data suggests that, sorry, is that a phone? Okay. Limited data makes it difficult to pinpoint an exact percentage. However, articles suggest that women hold a small minority of executive positions right here in Uganda, and only 10% of board roles. Statistics worldwide and right here in Africa show a concerning lack of diversity in boardrooms. This isn't just a social justice issue, it's a business imperative. According to global research, companies with more women at the decision-making table outperform those without. But what is the real impact of DEI? That is diversity, equity, and inclusion. A large-scale survey by the ILO involving nearly 13,000 enterprises across 70 countries found that companies with greater diversity in them reported higher profits. Almost 3/4 of companies that track gender diversity in management saw profit increases between 5 and 20%. According to McKinsey & Co., their Global Institute report analyzed data from over 1,500 public companies across 11 countries. It found that these companies in the top quartile for gender diversity were 25% more likely to succeed. Technology and innovation are no longer just disruptions. I'm sure you'll agree with me. They are the fabric of our lives. Yet Africa, a continent brimming with potential, isn't fully utilizing its greatest resource, and that is the young people and women of this continent. Think about it. By show of hands, whom of you had your first phone as a smartphone? Okay, maybe I need to say it again. By show of hands, whom of you here had your first phone as a smartphone? Okay, I see a hand there. Is that a hand? Yay, okay. So at yesterday's workshop, I couldn't even get one single hand, which demonstrates the leadership of this continent, right? Because that was the board workshop, and I was told that was the creme de la creme of board governance experts in the country. So here you go. I don't know about you, but as a parent to a 12-year-old, I know that he's already light years ahead of me in terms of technology. And globally, young people are developing technologies that are disrupting businesses at a pace that we are struggling to keep up with. Take, for example, these companies founded by younger people, well under 40, some even under 30. OpenCAI is a leading peer-to-peer marketplace for buying, selling, and creating non-fungible tokens, NFTs. They're valued at 13 billion rands. You talk about Chime. It was founded by Chris Britt and Nate Decker. It's a mobile banking app that offers fee-free banking, early access to direct deposits, and mobile-centric experience. They valued at 25 billion. I won't go through the rest. You guys know Facebook and the likes. Those are all young people. The one that really interests me is SunFunder. It was founded in 2011. It's a company providing financing for solar energy projects. Guess where? In Africa. The reality is many boards haven't kept pace with the rapid changes in our region. We are in an era of technology disruption like never before, with innovative startups disrupting established industries. We face economic shifts and fierce global competition. Boards need to adapt to become more strategic, more proactive partners with management. But how can they do that if they lack the diversity of thought and experience needed to thrive in this new reality? Knowing what we know, can we truly stand by and do nothing about it? Well, the future of this continent hinges on what I believe to be intentional leadership. Silence in the face of such need is not neutrality, it's complicity. Let's rise to the occasion, elevate our impact, and shape the future we all deserve. I want to shed some light on what I think is the way forward. Imagine a future where Africa isn't just a land of vast resources, but a breeding ground for groundbreaking ideas. A continent where young, tech-savvy minds are shaping the future and not just consuming the technology from abroad. This isn't a distant utopia. It's within reach. But to unlock this potential, we need a fundamental shift, a revolution in the boardroom. Just look around you. The world is changing at a breakneck speed. Disruptive technologies are reshaping industries, data is the new currency, and cyber threats loom large. Yet many African boards remain tethered to the past. They lack the diversity of thought and the experience needed to navigate this new reality. This isn't just about fairness, it's about economic prosperity. Studies consistently show that diverse boards outperform homogeneous ones. We need the brilliance of young minds, the wisdom of experienced leaders, and the perspectives of women who understand the unique challenges and opportunities facing Africa. So, how do we bridge this gap and empower these boards for success? Enter the unsung heroes of good governance, internal auditors. You are more than just number crunchers, you are strategic partners, guardians of integrity, and vital allies in the quest for empowered boards. Now, if you want to be amongst the most sought after auditing or governance professionals in the world today, here are 3 things you need to be able to do ASAP. 1, have the ability to transform data to insights. In today's data-driven world, information overload is a real threat. You need the necessary skills to analyze complex data sets, identify emerging trends, and make informed data-driven decisions. Imagine boards that can anticipate risks, seize opportunities, and propel the organizations forward with confidence. Number 2, you have got to become cybersecurity sentinels. Cybersecurity is a global threat, and Africa is no exception. Your expertise in cybersecurity can help boards implement robust safeguards, build a culture of security awareness, and protect sensitive data. This is not just about compliance, it's about safeguarding the future of our organizations and economies. Number 3, you have got to become ESG champions. The world is demanding more from businesses than just profits. Environmental sustainability, social responsibility, and ethical governance are critical factors for success. Auditing professionals can assist boards in evaluating their ESG performance and ensuring alignment with strategic goals. By embracing ESG principles, African companies can become leaders in responsible business practices, attracting investment and fostering trust. Number 4, I want to encourage you to lead the charge for diversity. The lack of diversity in boardrooms is a global challenge, but in Africa, it's particularly acute. Governance experts can be powerful advocates for change, promote best practices for board composition, champion diverse nominations, and use their voice to champion inclusion. Now, yesterday, I had the privilege of addressing what I'm told, as already alluded, the creme de la creme of boards and governance in Uganda. But I found it rather disturbing that there weren't many young people inside. As for women, I could only count a few here and there. Amongst the many ways I am deliberately effecting change on boards across the continent and in the diaspora is through knowledge and sharing advocacy. My first board seat at the tender age of 23 came as a result of my advocacy for equality and representation in the bank where I worked at the time. This exposure sparked my interest in dedicating the rest of my career to diversity, equity, and inclusion in boardrooms. Throughout my corporate career, I often found myself the only woman or black person in boardrooms full of men, majority of them being white men. It became abundantly clear to me that this wasn't an isolated experience. I knew there and then that I had to do something about it. A decade ago, I founded SAWL, which is now Strategic African Women in Leadership, formerly known as Southern African Women in Leadership. Now we are a force of change, empowering diverse leadership in over 20 countries across Africa and the diaspora, including a relatively fair presence here in Uganda. Yes, we have a country head in Uganda for 3 years now. In addition to the incredible work we do at Saul, I, as the Regional Director for Africa at Board Academy Europe, have made it my personal mission to equip young professionals, women, and people from previously disadvantaged backgrounds with the requisite knowledge and skills to confidently pursue board positions. The boardroom truly offers unparalleled learning, leadership opportunities, and the chance to shape the future of organizations, industries, and our continent. If you are driven by a commitment to good governance, you possess strong personal and professional ethics, and thrive in dynamic, intellectually stimulating environments, then this path may be for you. However, you ought to be intentional about pursuing it. Remember, securing a board seat is a marathon, not a sprint. Persistence, strategic planning, and continuous learning will increase your chances of success. In closing, I want to conclude by saying that together, auditing professionals, board members, governance professionals, and passionate leaders like yourself can create a wave of change. Let's empower Africa. Let's empower African boards to become beacons of innovation, bastions of good governance, and architects of a brighter future for our continent. Imagine the possibilities: a new generation of leaders armed with knowledge and driven by a shared vision, propelling Africa to the forefront of the global stage. The future is ours to create. Let us rise to the occasion. Arise, internal auditors, elevate the impact. Thank you.
When we're laying on our deathbed, you're not going to be worried about how much money you had, how much power you had, how much prestige. You're going to see that that was all gained, that that was all an illusion. The only thing that's going to matter is the impact you have on other people's lives.
We are all on a separate journey. But the beautiful thing about our life here on this earth is at my funeral, they're going to talk about my success. They're going to talk about who Nick was, and how Nick lived, and how Nick loved and encouraged.
Success is incredibly important, but even more important than success, it's having an impact. It's knowing you haven't walked the planet in vain. It's knowing that because you've been here, you've blessed lives, you've developed people, and you have made the world a better place.
The effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Everything you gain in life will rot and fall apart, and all that will be left of you is what was in your heart.
Life is a mirror, and life gives us not what we want. Life gives us who we are. When you were born, you cried while the world rejoiced. Live your life in such a way that when you die, the world cries while you rejoice.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Madam Asante. Another hand of applause, please. I was looking at my watch and I discovered that Ronald Kirungi and the team wanted us to be out for break tea or for healthy break by 11:30 a.m. But just allow me, just in case, one or two people would like to know a little more from what Asante has been sharing with us, I will give that. And I hope Kirungi will pardon me for that and the rest of the members. But we would like to appreciate you, especially on the guidance you've given us. You know, we are internal auditors and we're used to giving advice, but we want to appreciate you for the advice you've given us in the different 4 areas to use data to change our environments. And this is very, very key. And we cannot run away, especially those who are in my category, from technology and managing cyber. This is, in fact, if we are to be relevant, this is the area to go. I happen to support one bank, one of the small banks or upcoming banks, and I hope many of you who are also customers in that industry, you understand what I'm talking about. But it's happening everywhere, not only in the financial sector. And ESG is something we need to gain expert in ourselves and be helpful to our colleagues. And indeed, diversity. Just to give you some assurance, in Uganda, we have even upheld this area by giving an affirmative action to ladies in particular. So yesterday when you saw more men, they are working on it. And I hope auditors here, you can even advise on that in the different areas where we operate. I'm privileged. This one I say, and I hope my mentors and leaders can get this. I have been privileged to be mentored and be led by ladies from my middle level up to the executive level where I am. I've been led by ladies, and they've done, I think, a good work in me. If you haven't seen that, I want to appreciate them myself. But we are also being told to also involve the youth. They are dynamic, they are agile, they are technical savvy. And we can only just agree with that. But like I said, anybody with a question or two, I know time is not on our side, I'm going to allow that. And I'm going to stand here. I'm privileged not to be so short, but I will still stand to be able to see. Anybody with a question or comment, please? There is one there. I hope I've not failed you to see another. Okay, we shall take one there. One there, and I'm going to ask Bridget to come next to me. Somebody give that gentleman a microphone. A microphone, please. We have been told that young people are agile, but you might make us old people say maybe they are not.
You spoke about engaging.
Can you speak like a young man?
Okay. Yes, I didn't want to make to shout, but what I'm saying is, I wanted to know, you are talking about engaging the youth at board level. I wanted to know what does it take to get to that board level as a youth. Because someone made a joke here saying most board members are retired people. They choose retired people. And we're wondering, usually either they are handpicked, so I wanted to understand as a young man, how can I get there at the current age of some few years. Thank you, that is it.
You can talk.
Okay. Thank you so much for that question. I actually love it. Last year, around July, I started a campaign on X called Ask Asante on Boards. The reason for that is that my 3-year to 4-10-year with Board Academy Europe, I realized that young people are not pursuing boards, not because they don't want to, but they believe exactly what you just alluded to, which is it's meant for old people. So what I've just shared with you here are statistics in terms of diversity and inclusion. Companies worldwide are in dire need of young, brilliant minds on their boards. We are a search firm and placement firm, as well as a training firm, as Board Academy Europe. So to answer your question directly, there's no age restriction to become a board member, as long as you have value to add and that board requires your value add. I'll give an example of how I landed my first board seat at 23, which was many decades ago, as you can see. I was vocal as a young team leader within the bank about the importance of having younger black people in the room. So you can imagine in South Africa, a lot of the economy still belongs to white people. I can come in with a peer, have the same qualifications, but he's likely to become my superior before me. So I couldn't keep quiet about that. I challenged managers, leaders, supervisors, every opportunity I got. When the bank set up their EE committee within the board, the first person they thought of was this vocal one. So you have to know which, I think, sector you want to focus on, and your expertise as well. You guys are in auditing, so I think the traditional route for boards would be auditing committees, am I correct? So you have to learn the ropes young and volunteer. Start by volunteering within your organizations, within the companies where you work. Raise your hands and make them know that you actually are available to serve. They need you, they will bring you on board. It's just that we need to do away with the myth that it's for old people. It starts with us believing that we actually do belong in those positions. Did I answer your question?
I'm going just to ask one more. These young people, some people call them the millennials. And some people, not me, but some people have told me that they don't want to settle in one place. They're always on the move. And you know, recruiting and retraining is very expensive. What do you think organizations can do to retain those people to get the investment that has been put in them? Kindly come and share with us. And that will be the last, and we shall be going for break tea.
Okay, so in my years in corporate as a leader, one of the things I really found with younger professionals is culture is very important to them. They don't care about money because most of them come from well-off families. So if you have a good culture that embraces them and puts at the forefront of your culture their mental health, you've already started on the right footing. That's a start. And the other thing is, the reality is that you cannot keep talent based on the investment that you made in them if the environment within which they work, they don't feel welcomed or appreciated. So I think that's also the two-way street. As companies, you have to be able to say, if I'm investing in a person, I'm going to create a culture where they'll be happy to be here. Otherwise, they have options. So, and I am one of them. There's no other way I can answer that question to say that we do have options, and if we are not appreciated, we move.
Thank you so much. Asante. At the Institute of Internal Auditors, we have a culture of appreciating those who bless us. And on behalf of all these people here, including those online, I would like you to accept a small token from us. Thank you so much. Fatuma, you can take over.
Thank you, Moses. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad we are all here. Let's go out for break. Instead of 30 minutes, we shall make it 20 so that we come in for the next session. Thank you very much. Enjoy your break tea.
UBC, inspiring Uganda. Was brought to you by
Just a corporate loan of 200k to stock on my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting it. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso. Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala. We have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Be amazed the hidden treasure in a woman of substance.
S4, still, father buys me the first car, a brand new.
Their experiences.
Yeah, really my eyes were so big, I was so skinny, I was so tall.
And into the women they've become. Be inspired by their transformation and their stories.
I had to take Mama Nakaunde and Dr. Bossa at home.
Super Soul Sisters, only on UBC TV.
Did you know that our #1 value as a nation is to respect and protect the environment? With the current population increase of Uganda and industrialization, this has increased pressure on the natural resources, resulting into environmental degradation and global warming. Developing countries like Uganda could face 80% of the global climate change effects by the year 2030 if no action is taken. Join us here on UBC TV Inspiring Uganda on our Echo Plus program, where we bring you an in-depth analysis of issues that are disastrous to our environment every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. only on your loved station, the National Broadcaster.
Buli munya-Uganda nayitinga amakuru marungi. UBC West eyina amakuru marungi kandi agali kwesigwa. Leero za program zaayo ziri omulunya kitara hamwe n'olufumbira. UBC West eyina tekinologiya ey'omulembe eri kugibasisa kuhika omu bicweka byona omwihanga nangu naheru y'eihanga. Tukwatire aha frequencies zetu. Kisoro 97.7 Fama. Kabari 93.7 Fama. Hoima 99.1 Fama. Kampala 5.7 Fama. Mbarara 97.4 Fama. Footpoto 98.8 Fama. Masindi 5 Fama. Kurikiriza UBC West ohurire imbaganiza. UBC West empika huna.
Do you trust me?
Go! He escaped. I want my Yeti back! Where's my show? Where is she? Fine.
You're a monster.
Run away and never return.
Thank you for this journey. No matter how it ends.
I don't know what comes next. But I don't regret any of this.
Juko. Yo. What you go? Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?